Excuse me, sir, I don't know your signal.
You may call me Captain.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at movies based on true stories that got a major detail wrong, possibly among others. There will be a few spoilers for these films.
Are we so different, you and I? You take life when you have to, as I do.
I have only one more life to take.
Number 10. Eliot Ness meeting Al Capone. The Untouchables. Based on the memoir co-authored by Eliot Ness, this crime classic chronicles the former Prohibition agent's pursuit of the seemingly untouchable Al Capone.
What draws my admiration? What is that which gives me joy?
Dames.
Baseball.
Ness did investigate Capone as his agents raided his bootlegging operations, but the film exaggerates their rivalry. At one point, Ness confronts Capone in a hotel lobby, punching one of his men and egging on the big boss.
My friend was killed today.
I don't care.
You don't care. Hey, now he does. Come out here, Capone. You want to fight? You want to fight, you and me, right here?
This never happened, nor did their courtroom exchange where Ness rubs justice in a guilty Capone's face. Despite Ness's efforts to bring down Capone, the closest the two came to meeting was in 1932. Ness and some other agents escorted Capone from the Cook County Jail to Dearborn Station. It's uncertain if Ness and Capone even spoke to each other.
You heard me, Capone. It's over.
Get out of here. You're nothing but a lot of talking to bitch.
Here ended the lesson.
A lot of talking to bitch.
Number 9. Freddie Mercury's diagnosis and Live Aid. Bohemian Rhapsody. Let's separate the real life from the fantasy. Queen put on a historic performance at Live Aid. Frontman Freddie Mercury was diagnosed with AIDS, ultimately leading to his premature death. It's the timing where Bohemian Rhapsody indulges in fantasy. The film sees Freddie break the news about his diagnosis to his bandmates shortly before Live Aid. He swears them to secrecy, wanting to focus on the music.
But right now, it's between us, all right? Just us.
This couldn't have happened, as Mercury wasn't diagnosed until 1987, 2 years after the concert. It's hard to pinpoint when exactly Mercury became HIV positive, as he showed symptoms as far back as the early 80s. Even if Mercury suspected he was sick, the rest of Queen wasn't made aware of his illness until the decade's end. Number 8. How Many Brothers? The Iron Claw. This wrestling biopic follows the Von Erich brothers.
Here comes the Iron Claw! His father's notorious signature move!
4 of the brothers meet premature ends, leaving only Kevin Von Erich to carry on his family's sometimes triumphant and oftentimes tragic legacy. While mostly faithful to the 5 brothers' lives, a 6th Von Erich son is nowhere to be found. Chris Von Erich was the family's youngest. Although not as heavily involved in the family business due to medical issues, Chris pursued a wrestling career.
I ought to slap you right now. Percy.
On the heels of professional setbacks, substance abuse, and deep depression, Chris ended his life, just as his brother Kerry would 2 years later. When asked about Chris's absence, director Sean Durkin said, quote, "There was a repetition to it, and it was one more tragedy that the film couldn't really withstand," end quote.
Why is this happening to us? Why does it just keep happening?
Number 7. Michael Oher's so-called adoption. The Blind Side. In this feel-good Oscar winner, the Toy family takes Michael Oher under their wing, putting him on a path to the NFL.
Tell me everything I need to know about you. Who takes care of you? A mother? Do you have a mother? A grandmother, maybe? Tell you what, Big Mike. We can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way.
Since the film's release, the real Oher had made it no secret some significant liberties were taken. Perhaps the most notable example is a scene where the Toys ask Michael to legally become part of the family.
We'd like to become your legal guardians. What's that mean?
What it means is that we want to know if you would like to become part of this family.
According to Oher, the Toys didn't officially adopt him. Instead, he entered a conservatorship, allowing the toys to make business decisions on his behalf. Orr claims the movie deal made the family even richer while none of the money went to him. In 2023, Orr took out a lawsuit, prompting the judge to end the conservatorship that same year.
Just last year, at Orr's request, a probate court judge dissolved the nearly 20-year conservatorship. The Tui family offering to remove all mentions of Orr's supposed adoption from their websites, and not to mention adoption in public speeches.
A turn of events that blindsided many. Number 6. Schindler's List's Schindler's List. Steven Spielberg's Best Picture winner is a passionate tribute to Oskar Schindler and every Jewish person who endured the horrors of the Holocaust.
Let me understand. They'd put up all the money, I'd do all the work. What, if you don't mind my asking, would you do?
I'd make sure it's known the company's in business. I'd see that it had a certain panache. That's what I'm good at, not the work, not the work. The presentation.
While Spielberg strove for authenticity, the film's most glaring error is its title. Throughout the film, Schindler and Itzhak Stern work on a list of Jewish workers to be employed at his factories rather than be sent to concentration camps. Although Schindler's involvement would save over 1,000 lives, there was actually more than one list.
Someday, this is all going to end, you know. I was going to say we'll have a drink then.
I think I better have it now.
Historian David M. Crow believes there could have been as many as 9. Crow also claims that a Jewish man named Marcel Goldberg was responsible for 4 of these lists. It's unclear who made the other 5, but Schindler apparently only suggested a handful of names.
I could have become one more person, and I didn't. I didn't.
Number 5, The Rise and Fall of Commodus, Gladiator. Maximus Decimus Meridius might not have been a real gladiator, but Commodus was most certainly the emperor of Rome.
Rome greets her new emperor. Your loyal subjects bid you welcome, Highness. Thank you, Falco.
That doesn't mean anything about the film's depiction of him is accurate. Commodus didn't murder his father Marcus Aurelius to claim the throne. In fact, the father and son were co-emperors until Marcus Aurelius fell victim to the plague. Commodus's reign as emperor did end with bloodshed, but not in the Colosseum facing off against his longtime rival. After surviving an attempt to poison his food, Commodus was strangled to death while taking a bath. His assailant was his wrestling partner, Narcissus, who was part of a conspiracy to kill the emperor. The film's version is, admittedly, more entertaining, however.
Are you not entertained?
Number 4. David Ferrie's Confession, JFK. Many of the figures portrayed are real, but much of Oliver Stone's JFK blends facts with historical fiction.
Chief, David Ferrie.
Come on in, Dave. Thank you for coming.
You remember me, Mr. Garrison? I met you on Carondelet Street right after your election. I congratulated you.
How could I forget? You made quite a first impression.
In the film, the investigation of President Kennedy's assassination reaches a turning point when New Orleans District Attorney Jim Garrison confronts pilot David Ferrie in a hotel room. A hysterical Ferrie confesses that he was involved in a conspiracy along with Lee Harvey Oswald, Clay Shaw, the CIA, and others.
I knew Oswald. He was in my Civil Air Patrol unit. I taught him everything. He was a wannabe, you know? Nobody really liked him because they thought he was a snitch.
In reality, Ferrie claimed he never met Oswald, despite Garrison's suspicions and photographic evidence that the two were in the same Civil Air Patrol group. Ferrie also denied knowing about a conspiracy before he died in 1967. JFK's assassination remains a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma. Or maybe it was just Oswald.
They'll get to you too. They'll destroy you. They're untouchable, man.
Number 3, Fitzgerald getting his just desserts. The Reverend. After being attacked by a grizzly bear and abandoned by his party, frontiersman Hugh Glass miraculously survived the harsh wilderness.
Bridger's telling the truth.
How's that?
Fitzgerald lied to him. He was just following orders. He wasn't there when Fitzgerald stabbed my boy to death.
The film's version of Glass is hell-bent on killing John S. Fitzgerald for murdering his son and trying to do the same to him. Although there's no record of Glass having a part Indigenous child, he did pursue Fitzgerald after being left for dead. In the film's final act, Glass leaves revenge in the creator's hands, with Fitzgerald nonetheless meeting a violent end. The real Glass also resisted getting his own hands dirty, although this was supposedly because Fitzgerald had become a U.S. Army soldier. While it's uncertain what became of the real Fitzgerald, his karmic fate in The Revenant is a pure revenge fantasy. Number 2. Blue Face Paint, Braveheart. We could make a list of crucial facts that this quote-unquote historical epic got wrong, but let's hone in on the most iconic element: William Wallace and his fellow Scots wearing blue face paint at the Battle of Stirling Bridge.
For presenting yourselves on this battlefield, I give you thanks.
Whenever another movie or show replicates this image, you know that they're parodying Braveheart. They're by no means mimicking history, though, as Wallace and his troops didn't adorn their faces in blue on the battlefield.
Sons of Scotland, I am William Wallace.
William Wallace is 7 feet tall.
Yes, I've heard. He kills men by the hundred. And if he were here, he'd consume the English with fireballs from his eyes and bolts of lightning from his arse.
The filmmakers possibly lifted the idea from the Picts, another Scottish group that supposedly covered their bodies in blue dye called woad. Even then, it's debatable whether the Picts painted themselves for battle. It made for a cool image, but this detail surely leaves historians blue in the face.
Would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into Settings and switch on your notifications. Number 1. Captain Von Trapp, Behind the Music, The Sound of Music. This classic musical gets its inspiration, but not much else, from the true story of the Von Trapp family.
In the future, you'll kindly remember there are certain rooms in this house which are not to be disturbed.
Yes, Captain.
When the new nanny, Maria, arrives, Captain Von Trapp firmly establishes that he runs a tight ship with zero tolerance for silly things like music. Once Maria brings music back to their household, the stern captain's heart is reawakened. Maria Von Trapp's memoir paints a far more affectionate portrait of George Von Trapp.
You are back to stay.
Only until arrangements can be made for another governess.
Not only was the captain always kind to his children and a constant presence in their lives, but he never banished music. Before Maria even arrived, the captain and his first wife had already educated their children about music. His fondness for music never wavered, but the film's depiction sings a different tune.
Fräulein, did I not tell you that bedtime is to be strictly observed in this house?
Well, the children were upset by the storm, so I thought that if I... You did, sir.
And do you or do you not have difficulty remembering such simple instructions?
Only during thunderstorms, sir.
Can you think of any other historical inaccuracies? Let us know in the comments.
You got nothing. Not a lot of talking of bed. You're here because you got nothing. You got nothing in court. You don't got the bookkeeper. You got nothing.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.